Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Are you worried about your prepper pantry and your food storage stockpile? Do you have enough food? What are some foods that you can quickly grab now so that you can make sure that you have enough, that you have a variety, and you'll be able to provide meals for your family in a quick and easy way? One priority that I'm doing these days is picking up canned foods that are already full, ready to go meals. You can look at all kinds of different soups. You can find things that include beef, sirloin steak, chicken, pot pies, steak and potatoes, potatoes with ham, clam chowder, whatever your favorite kind of soups are, get some of those. You can find lots of varieties of chilies, tamales, and every brand is a little bit different flavor. So you don't have to just buy a dozen of the exact same thing. If you want to have a variety, try getting, say, 2 each of 6 different kinds, and then you have a variety, even if it's still just chili. Find the ones that you like, and that's what you should stockpile. You can also look at just meals in a can, things like corned beef hash, beef stew, chicken a la king. Look over all of the different varieties of things and see what you can find, what you might enjoy. Find things that work for you. I've even seen red beans and rice in a can. If you see something that looks interesting, buy one, take it home and try it. If you like it, you can always go back and get more. Don't stock up on foods you don't know what they are, or you don't really like, or they're just on sale. You want to stock up on foods that you are willing to eat. I've read recommendations from experts that you have 2 cans of food per day per person so that you have enough food for emergency situations, and that can easily go with the other foods that you might have available. My feeling is every 1 can of food that I have put away in my pantry is 1 extra meal that I might be able to provide down the road. Look over the different kind of beans. You can find refried beans, baked beans, ranch style beans. I've even had Dr. Pepper beans before. Look them over, see what you find. Try one and see if you like it. There's so many different varieties of canned foods. You could also get canned meats, fruits, vegetables, tomatoes, but I was just looking right now. My priority is to make sure that I have actual meals. What if I lose power and all I can do is open a can? If I have a can of chili, I can open it and just eat it. I don't have to worry about trying to combine it with something, make another meal, which it's nice if you have a family to be able to open several things and make a bigger, better meal. But say you're just one, or only one person is there for a meal, or everybody wants something different. I was once camping with a family and they bought a whole variety of the mountain house type foods. Then every meal they made one different one for each person, and then they all got to try all the different varieties. So it was a real adventure to go camping, because then they could try so many different varieties. They didn't just buy 5 of the same thing for 5 people for one meal. They bought 5 different things and everybody got a little taste. I thought that was a great way to check out all of the different kinds of dehydrated mountain house, the camping, backpacking type meals, because they can be pretty expensive. But if you're planning a trip, that's a great adventure and a way to spend some of your vacation money trying out new things. Be cautious when you're buying canned foods. Make sure that you look at the date and it has several years on the date from when you're picking it up. You want your food in your stockpile to last. You don't want to choose nearly outdated food if you have a choice. Then look them over carefully and make sure they don't have any dents. It sometimes is harder and harder to find foods without dents on them because the cans don't seem to be made as well as they used to be. You also want to be aware of acidic foods like tomatoes and fruits, which can actually eat through the cans. So if you ever see a can that appears to be leaking or bulging, throw it away, never eat it. If something is just out of date, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. If the package looks perfectly fine on the outside, go ahead and inspect it. If you open it and it spurts, throw it away. If you open it and it smells good, it looks okay, take a little taste. Likely it will be fine. Don't throw food away just because of the date on the can. You want to inspect the food and see if it's still going to be safe and okay to eat. And generally it will be, and that's one of the beauties of canned foods. They can last for many years past the date, but not always. That's why you need to continue to try to rotate them. But if you find them out of date, go ahead and inspect them before you just think, oh my goodness, I can't have them, because you might be able to after all. After you have a supply of canned foods, pick up some beans. There are all different kinds of dried beans. You can get everything from pinto beans, white beans, kidney beans, red beans, garbanzo beans, all kinds of even combination beans that can be made into soups. The one thing to be aware of though, red kidney beans actually have a toxin in them naturally. They must be soaked, the water poured off. Then you need to ensure that you cook them to a certain temperature to make sure that they're safe to eat. That's not a problem with other types of beans. So I try to steer away from the red kidney beans, not red beans, but kidney beans, because the other beans don't seem to have that issue. You can pour them right into your crock pot with some water, plug it in and cook it without even soaking them ahead of time. I have several videos on how to prepare different types of beans in your crock pot. There's no soaking, you just add the water and maybe a few spicy ingredients, plug it in and let it go, and the beans will be ready for you in a matter of hours. I'll put a link to a few of those videos in case you're interested in how to actually cook your dried beans. Next, you want to stock up on rice. You want white rice because it lasts the longest. Brown rice has natural oils in it, and you can store brown rice, yes, but it needs to be rotated within a year or two, whereas white rice will last for decades. But you do need to store it in an airtight container. You can pour it into a jar, put on a tight-fitting lid. You can seal it in a Mylar bag. You can add oxygen absorbers. There's all kinds of different ways to store food. The better that you store it, the longer it will last. You want it airtight in a cool, dark, dry environment for it to last the longest. The nice thing about a variety of canned foods is you can prepare some basic rice and beans and then add the canned foods to them. And if you're able to get some fresh foods, maybe from your garden, you can add those in as well. So you aren't just planning on just living on these food items. You're trying to combine these, stretch your meals, and make your food go farther longer for a more affordable way of having enough food in the future. Nobody knows what's coming, but it certainly is apparent that food is becoming harder to get for most of us, and the prices are becoming exorbitant. You don't need to just stock up on plain rice, plain beans. You can also look for combinations that are in easy to prepare packages. Packages like rice-a-roni, red beans and rice, jambalaya, teriyaki rice. They're all different ways to add variety to your rice and beans with some already pre-made packaged mixes. The packaged mixes, though, aren't going to last as long as plain rice and beans, but they can be stored in your pantry for quite a few years, especially if you keep them in an airtight, cool, dark, dry environment. I like to take multiples of packages of things like Knorr noodles or rice mixes, and I put them into a 5-gallon bucket and put the lid on because it's adding an extra layer of protection. It locks out more of the air, and more importantly, it locks out any kind of critters getting into it. It helps protect the food to last longer. So every layer of protection is an added bonus when you're stockpiling your food. We know that having enough food is becoming more of a challenge for many of us. The foods in our stores sometimes are not as readily available. The variety isn't there. The prices are going up. Inflation is just real. And the price of gas is shooting up in many places, which makes it more expensive to even get to the store to buy the food. Also, it means that it's more expensive for the farmers to use the fuel to grow the food and the trucks to transport it to the store. So there's a whole big cycle and a whole intertwined network of why food is becoming more expensive and why it's becoming in shorter supply. So we can be aware of these problems, we can be proactive and grab these foods now. So if you want to bulk up your food storage stockpile and your prepper pantry, try adding some canned foods, some beans and rice, and add variety in those foods as you stock them up, even a little at a time. Adding even one package of food to your stockpile every time you go to the store really helps you grow your amount of food that you have going forward. You'd be surprised how fast it adds up, and then you'll be more confident that you'll be able to take care of your family no matter what the future holds. If you have any other suggestions on foods we should grab now to have in our prepper pantry, leave it in the comments below. We all want to make sure that our food storage stockpile is as ready and full as it needs to be with an uncertain future looming on the horizon. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.